U.S. blocks UN Security Council demand for humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. Yeah, I saw this. This isn't really surprising. I mean, the Congress just passed the whole anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism bill like that, you know? The United States is all in on this. Once again, I have no idea what the Biden administration thinks they're doing. I sincerely think the Biden administration thinks that, like, the average Democrat voter is just going to forget about all of this, you know? Because all of the warning signs of, like, waning popularity, they're flagging hard. And then it's just like, well, you know, what are you going to do? As if this doesn't have a consequence to it. How do you advocate for Biden through all the like day by day footage releases of like mangled Palestinian children being carried by crying parents? There's no like it's all us. It's our weapons, you know, and we're funding it. We're not only funding it, we're like blocking any condemnation of it. This is what Israel relies on us for. We provide them weapons and we shield them internationally against you know, condemnation, economic sanctions, UN, whatever. It's a mystery. What the hell does the U.S. think it's doing with Israel? I think we're just all in, man. We're like ride or die, you know? You know your bitch is bad, but you're loyal. Yeah, we can fix her, exactly. Joe Biden approval rating. 538. Yep, still trending negatively. 37.8% approval. Man, we are almost all the way down to 1/3 of the country approving of Joe Biden. The language is very slowly getting stronger, but it's just not. Yeah, no, it's pathetic, right? I like eventually everyone, Republican and Democrat, are going to have to come to the conclusion that Netanyahu's regime is insane and is a massive detriment to us, both in terms of our geopolitical, you know, legitimacy, in terms to our like legitimacy as the world policeman and like, you know, upholding international law, with regards to like stability in the Middle East, which we pay for because we don't want the Middle East to be unstable. Like we don't, it doesn't benefit us for it to be unstable, at least not currently. Like all of that, just massive, massive detriment. What do you think will happen after Israel has all the territory and tries to take Lebanon or another country? You mean more of it? No. Man, I don't know. I mean, who the knows, man? Netanyahu is super unpopular, but there's a reasonable chance, I think, that like democracy basically doesn't happen again in Israel because he's very autocratic, and it's very clear to him that like he's doing the same thing that Maduro is doing in Venezuela, you know? Going all in on the like, you know, national security bit. His cabinet is filled with lunatics who call for greater Israel and who clearly just want the Palestinian people gone. It's just, yeah, I have no idea. At a point, even Republicans are going to have to withdraw themselves from this, right? I think Republicans are already demonstrating a willingness to do so because they didn't vote on the funding bill for Ukraine and Israel, thus risking being accused anti-Semitic, of being anti-Semitic. But unironically, how far can Israel go until America stops supporting it? I have no idea. It seems like there's been... The real question will be what happens to the Palestinian people when the IDF moves south. So the basic issue right now is so far 17,000 people are dead, the vast majority of which are civilians. That is an amount of people, okay? So this right here is the line. Okay? For the most part, the IDF is over here, and they're slowly moving block by block, claiming city street by city street through a midst of gunfire and presumably IEDs and a bunch of other crap. When Vosh, they're already moving south? Yes, but most of their forces at the moment are concentrated here. As you can see by the blue, they are moving in here as well, but the real question is going to be, what happens when they move into the area where the Palestinians have been forced into? Most of the Palestinians are out of here. They've moved south, but that means a lot of the people down here in the southern portion are Hamas, and Hamas isn't going to just, like, you know, give up, which means that the IDF is going to have to push a line moving further and further south while the density of Palestinians gets more and more concentrated. Here, let me see if I can find that article. Where were the Palestinians told to move to? The area that the Israeli government... Here, Israel designates safe zone in Gaza. What's the name of that? Mawasi. Give me a map. Give me a map. Give me a map. The safe zone that the IDF has designated is literally like a barren strip of nothing. Meanwhile, the IDF is flooding. They've already started doing this. Gaza tunnels with seawater. Is this confirmed? IDF. I saw that they handed out pamphlets to this. Yeah, yeah, it still says they plan to. Okay, so this is still a plan, not something they've actually done. This would essentially render large portions of the Gaza Strip unusable, and like incapable of supporting like plant life. Salt water, plants don't like salt. You know how it is. So they're openly talking about like cleansing the area. Israel to flood Hamas tunnels with seawater, working on setting the pipes up underground. Show me Moasi, show me where it is, show me the map. It's all this one photo. I want to see where they are on the map. Wait, but then what's the point? Killing people. Moasi. Where here is Moasi? Chat. The internet won't tell me. Wait, is this it? Al Mawasa agriculture area? Is this a translation thing? Is this what they're referring to? Yes? Okay, I was saying Moasi in the article, but this is it. Mawasa. Okay. Mawasa agricultural area. Yeah, it's still correcting to Mawasi, which makes me wonder. Here we go. This is it, I think. This light green area, which is what we're looking at. I think this is the currently designated safe zone. The IDF keeps releasing, like, changing areas of safety. Like, we won't bomb these areas, but of course they have been. They've definitely been shelling the southern portion of the Gaza Strip pretty regularly. Yeah, around here. Anyway, the real question when it comes to how bad things are going to get is when the IDF moves in here, they're going to encounter essentially like an enormous block of starving, you know, thirsty Palestinians, more densely packed than basically any group of humans on Earth. And in an environment like that, like a single shell could easily kill hundreds or even thousands of people. You know, any behavior from the IDF could massively exacerbate the death toll. So what's going to happen, right? Like, where do all these Palestinians go? The northern part of the Gaza Strip is mulched. There aren't any buildings to live in. There's no, like, property to return to. It's gone. So you can send people up here to die, I guess. That's an option. The IDF seems like they're going to keep doing this all the way moving south. So where? Where will they be taken? My guess, my personal guess, and I can't see the future, so I don't know. I'm not operating on any secret knowledge here or whatever. But my personal guess is that the IDF is deliberately constraining the Palestinian refugees to an unlivably dense and poorly maintained area in the hopes that more and more of them start to break south and try to escape into Egypt. I think that that Israel is trying to pressure Egypt into opening up its border for a mass wave of Palestinian refugees, or to simply force a bunch of Palestinians into Egypt where they will die en masse, and their mistreatment will be blamed on Egypt rather than Israel. I think that's the goal. The goal is to subject them to conditions where the only way they think they can escape is by going into Egypt, and then they will blame Egypt for the, no doubt, innumerable corpses that will, you know, be produced as a consequence of that. Yes, and if that happens, the number of dead will be very difficult to obtain. That is true. We can see this over Google Maps, and you can see the relative levels of development here. This area, there's Al Mawasi, the current quote-unquote safe zone is like this area, this chunk right here. But as you can see, a lot of this is just like what is this? You know? Like nothing. Just massive refugee camps. Again, a reminder of how dense the Gaza Strip is. We can see the houses that quickly after zooming in from the total size of the Gaza Strip. You could walk from one edge of this to another in like an hour, you know? Can you look further southwest as to where they'd be after fleeing across the border? Yeah! So over here you've got Egypt, and you might notice if you look in closely that, oh, well, there's a shopping mall, so that's good at least. This broader area, however, you might notice is inhospitable to human life is the problem. Yeah, if a bunch of Palestinians make a break for it, like there's development here to be sure, but you know, you haven't mentioned the underlying goal, which is the free real estate for Israel to now build on top of. I actually don't think this is about real estate. Certainly Israel wants the land because every nation state wants land. But the real reason look at this tiny amount of land right here. The real reason Israel wants this, I think, is because they just want to kill a bunch of Palestinians. It's a matter, it's the fascist in-group, out-group dynamic, like distilled to the most obvious and simple point. That is incredibly politically important for the Netanyahu regime and for a lot of, let's be clear, like Israeli people generally and of previous regimes, to facilitate the elimination of the Palestinian people in Israel as part of their like full sort of like ethnically, culturally, and religiously homogenous occupation of the of the Holy Land. I don't think a lot of them know that for sure, and I don't think a lot of them are that explicit about it, but that sure does shape the language that they use, the rhetoric, the behavior they engage in. So yeah, I think that's the main thing, you know? Like, I really think that the intolerable fact to them is simply the presence of Palestinian people here. I think that Hamas provides a convenient excuse for military engagement with them, but I think even if Hamas did not exist, this would continue. And I think, again, the best way to demonstrate this is that in the West Bank, where Hamas is not present, they still have an open apartheid state where settlers, along with the IDF, use military force to drive people out of their homes and steal their shit. With absolutely no provocation or justification. There's literally like no pretense here. Without Hamas, without any military resistance, without any bottle rockets being fired into Israel, still they kill and displace Palestinians en masse. So yeah, I think maybe it's about land, but if it is about land, it's in more of a Lebensraum sense than it is like a literal, we want some development space. It's more of a, this is our people's land, blood and soil kind of thing than it is literally just like, it is convenient for us to have this beachfront property. Though it certainly is. Certainly is. Why do liberals defend this on Twitter? Because liberals are almost by definition enormously invested in the institutions that they trust. They're institutionalists, you know, and for that reason, they are extremely susceptible to, sort of the broader propaganda and systems that we use to justify our occupation here. Of course, the actual justifications for Israel's behavior here are fascist, not liberal. There isn't really a liberal justification for it. But liberals, historically and contemporarily, have been able to excuse fascism when it serves their interests. Like, look at what we did during the Cold War in a bunch of countries with ousting democracies in favor of fascist dictatorships, you know? Liberalism is not completely ideologically vaccinated against fascism. It'd be nice if it was. It's just disgusting to see liberals with Ukraine flags defend every step of the genocide. Yeah. I mean, you know. The people who are like that didn't defend Ukraine because they have sort of a principled opposition to imperial powers or whatever else. It's because it's just Western hegemony shit. Just we side with X side, you know? That's it. If Biden came out as hard as the Biden supports genocide crowd accepted, the U.S. would not have the leverage for foreign policy teams to talk to. No, I think that's total bullshit, Teletech. 100%. I think that's complete bullshit. Also, I'm not asking Biden to come out as hard as like Twitter leftists are saying. But like the idea that like, oh, Biden couldn't have acted like a Twitter leftist because that would have like, you know, lessened his leveraging power in Israel. Like he's giving Israel all the power in this dynamic. He's literally saying, don't invade the South. And then Netanyahu's like, yeah, invade the South. I think it's total bullshit. The idea that Biden is just being like a faithful steward and he's like calmly and patiently navigating a difficult situation, he's doing the best he can, is tantamount to genocide denial as far as I'm concerned. Like it is the most limp-wristed, spineless possible way of defending. Like I don't buy it at all. I don't think that's nuance. I think it's enabling. It's apologia. There's nothing about this that required Biden to go like, yeah, actually, I doubt the civilian death counts from Palestinians. No limit to our support for Israel. Like all that bullshit. It's absolutely nothing. No.